All right, Chris, welcome back for round number two, brother.
Hey Josh, thanks for having me on, brother. Bro, I'm actually super excited for this one. I mean, we did something a couple years back. We were talking about some successes with agent recruiting with starting a franchise, the franchise model with first class. So a lot has changed since then, man. So I'm glad to be back and kind of get the word out what we're doing.
Yeah, me too, dude. And what I love about you and interviewing you, others like yourself that have had the experience that you've had is like, dude, you've worn all the hats. You were
Many,
new, like we
many.
all started off, but then built individual business, then built a brokerage and involved in insurance. Like you've worn all the different hats, so it's allowed you to see so many different things. And one of the things I want to lead off with, man, is because the market's changing fast. And we were just talking about this off air, but the market's changing fast, changing into a buyer's market pretty quickly in most markets. But dude, there's a lot of agents right now that have never experienced anything but a crazy seller's market where pricing, positioning their listings wasn't, really that essential to them because shit, you list
Yeah.
anything on the MLS that's sold. Now that dynamic's changing. Like if you're not prepped right, if you're not priced right, and I know throughout your business, you've primarily been a listing agent. You're awesome on the phones, probates, FISBOs, whatever. But walk us through like what are you doing in your market to get your sellers priced, prepped right to make sure that they move because otherwise in this market they ain't selling.
No, it's education, just knowing where your comps are and where to properly list based on that. Kind of talking about agents in the past few years, in this huge seller market that we had. I was actually sitting down with the agent yesterday that's looking to join our organization, and he's like, "Dude, 2020 through 2022, I was super successful. The last couple of years, I really have not sold much deals, and my listings are sitting." I'm like, "That's because you were." What's the word? Like we just have the benefit of being able to put any listing price that we possibly want on the property and it's going to sell, right? I mean, when you're dealing with like 40, 50 grand above list price, and dude, that was just wild. We're just not in that market right now. So what I'm seeing with my listings is I have to break down the education to the seller, right? And where we're at with the market and how we got to be ahead of the. So let's just say I'm putting a pricing ball on the top of the mountain and we roll it down. I need to be ahead of that and not chasing that ball. So what I mean by that is, okay, let's just say I have a listing that I think my comps support a $500,000 price point. Well, I don't want to list it for $500,000. And not only that, I'm actually looking more at actives lately than I have been solds. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because I want to know what's our competition and how we're aligned with that competition. So instead of going on market value or slightly above, I need to educate my sellers and get them to understand this because that's probably the biggest thing is getting sellers to realize, A, it's going to be better to undercut the market value by 3 to 5% right now, where we are going to move this thing because we're already ahead of that ball dropping, right? So for an example, I took a listing out in Ogden. We lowered that about 5%. I got multiple offers on that. I got 8 offers, and we were able to get them up to the regular market value anyways. I had a similar situation on one in West Valley that we undercut it, and dude, I had 30 offers on that one, which I had no clue. That was a weird one because it was a murder house, and so I was like, this might be hard to sell, whatever. But no, dude, that flew off the shelf like hotcakes because we priced it accordingly. We priced it slightly below because if we could get multiple buyers, we have leverage to get them up, right? Now that's a skill within itself, but it's breaking down, sitting on my listing presentation, telling the seller, look, this is how you're going to move your property for the top dollar in this market. Let's just say, okay, and this analogy I use, right, with all my sellers. Let's just say I have this dollar bill. Okay, I have a dollar bill. I want to put it on the market, right? I'm going to sell this dollar. Well, if I put that dollar on the market for a dollar, I probably, who's going to come swap their dollar for me, right? I might be able to get a fresh, clean dollar for my crumpled up dollar for this person that wants to put that dollar in a vending machine, right, to get their candy bar. If I put this thing on the market for $1.01, no one's coming. But if I put this dollar on the market for 98 cents, everybody's coming. And then I could bid them up to the regular dollar amount or $1.01. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I mean, it's a very simple analogy.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
And I think it sounds like our markets are doing something similar. And what I've found is about 85-90% of the country is either on the way to a buyer's market or well into a buyer's market. There's a few pockets that are still like 2021, in the Northeast and stuff. But, at least for most of us,
on the
like
West,
it,
bro, the West is getting hammered, you know?
yeah. And I hear
So,
this all the time, dude. Like agents being like, I'll do it. My listings aren't sitting, but they're priced right. And I'm like, yeah, but you're pricing them right based on your experience of being in a seller's market or a neutral market, not in a declining, softening buyer's market.
Yeah, well, again, it also breaks down to the seller, right? We could break down this analogy and show them the data, and they still want to start high because they think they're going to get a lower offer and then meet them in the middle. Like you have to have those conversations with that seller and really put the light bulb in their brain, right? Now, if I'm going to take a listing and they're not listening to me, well, then I want to preempt them and say, look, man, if we're not getting 3 to 5 showings a week, which lets us know we're pretty much aligned with this market. If we're not getting that kind of activity, we need to come down in like 2 weeks. Like we can't stay stagnant for too long. So I will actually have them go in their calendar and say, okay, if we're not getting these metrics, 3 to 5 showings a week, showing every 8 to 10 showings, if we're not hitting this in the first 2 weeks, especially being fresh on the market, we're going to have a conversation in 2 weeks to come down to what I suggested to do, right? So I don't want to stay stagnant too long because then that ball is just going down that hill that much more faster. It's gaining momentum, right? And I don't want it to gain momentum.
Do you guys have a lot of new builds in your market too?
Dude, a ton. And actually, I got this email from a new build that is like they're offering a 5% BAC right now.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing a lot of price reductions on new construction. We're actually able to negotiate pricing with them to a certain level. So yeah, they're hurting as well.
Yeah, and that's what we're having when it comes to pricing is not just paying attention to resell, but making sure that you're damn well educated on everything going on with all the new builds around. Because you got these multi-billion dollar, nationwide new build organizations. They need to move the inventory, but they can afford to maybe take a loss in a way that, a residential seller can't. So it's like you got a brand new product, you got all the warranties, you got a better price, better interest rate because they're buying blocks of mortgages. So it's like, hey, we got to take that into account to compete because that's also competition where so many have been so used to just focusing resell, as well. And are you finding the same thing, like having to bring those into the conversation as part of
Yeah,
the
I have
competition? Because
so American Fork is probably about a 35-minute north of the Salt Lake Metro, right? This is like townhome new construction haven. Like it's American Fork Lehigh, nothing but new construction townhomes. I took a resale listing that was built in 2022, so relatively still pretty new. But yeah, we're competing with all those new constructions because there's just so much new construction available that is probably similarly priced to where we're at, or maybe even priced a little bit below. So now people are able to get a new construction, but those are sitting anyways. My listing's sitting, like nothing's moving in that area whatsoever. I'm also calling other listings in, and I don't know if agents do this or not, but I do. If my listing is sitting, I'm going to call all the other active listings, all the other pending listings of something similar to mine, talk with that listing agent and say, look, can you give me a actual list of all the buyer's agents that took their buyers through? And hopefully they do. Some are nice, some are not, right? We have aligned showings. They could just go in there and send us the info. While I'm hitting those buyer's agents up, and I'm like, hey, I noticed that you showed this property on 123 Main Street. I have a similar listing over here on 124 Main Street. Would you guys want to go see it, right? So I'm trying to be as proactive as I can in this market, not just setting it on the MLS and, praying to the real estate gods that this thing sells.
yeah, and I think that at least from my experience, dude, you nailed it on the head of education. Leo Preha, CEO of EXP, one of my close friends recently said that we're in a market where buyers think it's 2008, sellers think it's 2020, and right now it's neither of those, but we're in this gridlock, right? Yeah, making sure that you're armed with the education, with the comps, being very upfront of because in their mind they hear the news, oh, the Fed's lowering rates, so these buyers are going to come out. But it's like, dude, most of the media doesn't know how mortgage rates work, right? So arming yourself with that education, and then from there, let's just say you have a seller that isn't willing to listen to you, and they're not willing to make adjustments over time in this kind of a market. Like, is that something you just peace out, walk away from?
Like I'm not gonna like peace out. I'm just not gonna give it as much attention, right? And I know that's probably not the best part, best thing on my part because I will still update like, hey, we have 0 showings. I'll still every week, like every Tuesday, I'll send an email of the analytics of the back end. I do pay extra money to Homes.com and Realtor.com to be a little bit more featured on, the search criteria for when people are searching. So I have the back end analytics that I'll send over. I'll send over some new like pendings, if anything pending, if anything came up. So I'm sending things out like that on, every Tuesday. So they're still getting communication from me and what's happening in the market in their, specific area. But if they're not saying, we're not coming down on price, we're not coming down on price, well, I'm not putting any more money or any more open houses to that listing until they listen to me. Now, if I get a price reduction, I'll go and, blast out another 10-day marketing blitz or do another open house. But I don't want to just give it up and just take it off, even though I know it's not going to sell, but you just never know, right? I mean, you never know, dude. But
Yeah, motivation day zero can dramatically change day 60.
yeah, I mean, all my upfront costs are already done. Like all my work is already done for that listing anyway. So, I mean, it's not too much more effort just to keep it on the market. And then hopefully down the road, they see the light or maybe another life event happens where they're a little bit more open-minded to coming down on price. And
Yeah.
the other thing, if they were to come down on price and we were on the market, say for like 4 or 5 months right before an expiration date, I don't know how it works with your MLS, but with us, we could take it off the market for 30 days, re-put it back on the market at a better price point, and then it resets the days on market. They just changed that. Usually we could just take it off, put it right back on, and then we just change the days on market, right? But now they make us wait a certain time frame, and that actually has been working really well too. If the seller's not in some sort of dire need to get out of the house in the immediate future.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up, and I just want to reiterate this because everybody watching and listening, I think it's so important, is that look in a regular market, it's like, okay, we look at our three most, accurate best sold comps, pending comps, active comps, but we're really looking at the sold comps for that baseline, market value. Well, when you got a declining market, and that's the same analogy I use, like you got a ball rolling down the hill, dude, you got to get in front of it to catch it. So we got to, keep that pulse on the active inventory, the new build inventory, and make sure that we're the best damn price
I think
property.
actives are the most important right now. Yeah, I
Yep.
think you hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, we got to be the sexiest thing on the market to even get people to even to go see it. And I was actually speaking with another agent who works primarily buyers, and this was just yesterday conversation. She's like, Chris, I don't know if I want to work buyers or listings. They both suck right now. And the reason being is because, yeah, it's a buyer's market, but now they're thinking that they could rake the sellers over the coals, and now they're showing. She's like, I'm showing more houses to one buyer than I ever did in my life because there's more inventory, there's more options, and so she's like, I feel like I'm showing way, way more houses. In fact, I have an agent in my lobby right now who was telling me the same thing. She's like, I need to get rid of these buyers because I feel like I'm showing more houses than what I used to in this particular market, even though it's more of a buyer's market.
Yeah.
I don't show too many houses. I lucked out. I showed a house. I showed one house, got it under contract. Home inspection went great. We're closing in a week. It was a wonderful, wonderful transaction, or it should be. It will close, but I guess that's a unicorn. A lot of agents I'm hearing are showing more houses than usual at this point.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just because they think, and this is just us speculating, but I don't know if it's necessarily that they think that they can get a better deal, but or if it's just understand the unaffordability crisis that we're in. It's like in order to bite that bullet and pay that payment, like they got to be in love with it, and they
Yeah.
knowing that hey, this is going to be a long term, go. I mean, it could be a combination of all of then. When you're having those, and I like what you said earlier, about setting expectations with your seller of, hey, in 2 weeks you're going to hear from me and we're going to have another pricing conversation. So then you're setting those expectations up front of like, dude, if we're not getting the activity that we need, we're not getting interest, not getting offers, you're going to hear from me every 2 weeks and we're going to have a new conversation,
Yeah.
about pricing. And the pricing that I come up with in 2 or 4 weeks might be different than the pricing I'm talking about right now. Cause again, the market's softening, it's declining, prices are coming down, but you're setting those expectations up front, cause I found if you don't do that, then they get kind of pissed of like, well, what are you doing to market my property? If I'm just pounding them, if I don't set those expectations up front.
Well, dude, and you can market anything as much as you want, right? I mean, I'm like, I can market your house so the cows come home, but no buyer in the right mind is going to overpay for something, right? If they don't need to, it's not. So it's just like whatever. Now, I make sure they put it in their calendar or have something in writing on your ERS, right? ERS, for those that don't know, is our exclusive right to list contract. But I want something in writing or a reminder in their calendar because if you don't put something like that and 2 weeks comes by and you start having that conversation, they are quick to have amnesia, dude. They totally forgot about that conversation. And then when you drop it down to where it should be priced, they're like, well, we already, and then maybe you have to do another slight adjustment. Well, they're like, we already came down 30 grand. I'm like, no, you really kind of didn't. Because yeah, we started high. Like you really only come down like 5, 10 grand based on what I was telling you how the market's responding, right? So I make sure I have something somewhere in writing. I don't care if it's in the calendar, in my ERS. I just want something showing like, look, we had this conversation because again, amnesia is crazy with these sellers. So
Yeah. And then what does that conversation look like? I mean, do it on the phone? Are you just re-emailing comps to run, or is this like a
yeah, no, well, first things first is at your listing appointment, right? When you're going through the ERS, you're going through your comps, just how our listing presentations are. And then I do have them mark them something in their cell phone. I say, okay, we're both going to go on our cell phone. We're going to be in 2 weeks from our listing date, and then we're going to have a conversation about pricing if we're not hitting these metrics. Now, I do have some agents that will put an addendum on the ERS where they're already agreeing to a price reduction in 2 weeks, right? So depends. I think either way is fine.
yeah. Okay, cool. Is there any point where, and I'm guessing the answer to this is no, but is there any point where if you've got that listing for 4 months, 5 months, they're just, dogmatic on their price, not willing to make any adjustments, where you will just, part ways, or do you just, now that you've already invested in marketing, just let it run its course and expire?
Yeah, I think, well, no matter what's going to ding my record, right? So it's either going to be a canceled or expired on my record. But I think it could just breaks down to what is the vibe like with the seller, right? We could be all cookies and cream at the beginning, but now 4 months down the road, they could be a little bit agitated, or if we're not getting along, then at that point, I might pull the plug on it. But, if we're still cordial, if they're still, they're not listening to me on pricing, but, you know, we have no animosity, there's nothing going on, then I don't see any harm just keeping it up. Because
Right.
if I want to leverage that too, right? If I want to do more open houses, but then again, if you are doing open house for overpriced listing, how many people are coming in on that thing too? But maybe I'll get a yard sign or a call, a sign from my sign or something. So to me, it's not really that it's nothing too much off my shoulders just to keep it on there and let it expire. Because no matter what, it's going to ding my record anyways.
Yep. Yep. So then, yeah, I know, okay, you talked about some of your agents work on the buy side, but I know you primarily have, at least for the time that I've known you, which has been a long time now, been really focused on getting listings, stacking listings. So in this market, what,
90
what,
10. I'm like 90 10, bro. 90 listing, 10% buyers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you find that's working best for you right now? Yeah, I know you're focused on probates. What niches are you finding to be the most juice for the squeeze right now and going after listings?
Right now, well, yeah, probate's been crazy. Ever since I joined your organization, I was able to get in with Carolyn Castillo, which I actually did a podcast with her last week. So she's the probate coach that everybody in our organization with us like has access to, right? But for the most part. But I've been really focusing on that because one thing I don't want to do is I think a lot of agents do is they're just doing way too many things, right? They're just doing way too many things. So, but with probate, you're not getting a ton of leads every week because it's based on who's dying and who has real estate in their estate. So I'm also intertwining expireds with that. But I'm in a position right now in my career where I don't have to take any expired, right? So what I'm doing right now is instead of going to my Vulcan 7 every morning or my Red X every morning and just start dialing from the top to the bottom, I actually put myself on MLS alert and I go back for expired cancels, 0 days back, 1 million and plus in Salt Lake County. So now, and I put myself on an express alert, right? I don't know if your guys' MLS has these capabilities, ours do. So as soon as something hits the expired or canceled database, I don't care if it's 2 p.m., I'm getting an email from my MLS where I can now see it. I could call them right there, and I know I'm going to be the first one to actually contact them, right? Because every other agent's going to either wait till 4 o'clock that day or wait till the following morning and just start dialing down their system. Where if I could put myself on alert and be the first one to actually reach out to them, I think that, especially for fresh expireds, right? I think that gives me a little bit of advantage.
And if I heard that correctly, you're focusing on just $1 million plus price points.
This is where I'm at, right, in my career, right? But if I'm new or like whatever, then yeah, you can do any price point you want. Like one thing I love about your training is like, dude, let's focus on who we want to work with.
Yeah.
Who do we want to work with? Who's our demographic? For me, it's going to be the Salt Lake Metro, East Bench, and $1 million and above, right? Those are the type of people, type of listings I want. Those, if I'm going to take my time to prospect, I'm going to prospect the things I want to prospect. So I think it just breaks down to what the agent wants to work, and then take that demographic, place it into, your MLS, put yourself on those alerts, and just be one of the first sources of contact. And the scripts I use for that is a kind of a mixture between Ricky Caruso's script and Kevin Ward's script, right? Because I like both of them. Ricky's very open-ended, right? And then I love one of Kevin Ward's questions. I don't really like some of the other scripts because I feel like I'm interrogating them, right? Like
Yeah.
there's like 80 questions. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'm not honestly, I'm unorthodox, dude. I don't need to completely pre-qualify them. I don't. Like I just need to get into the damn door or have a conversation with them, right? I don't need to pre-qualify them before I show up. I'm going to show up anyways because even if I don't get the listing, I can still hopefully build a relationship. And it's easier for me to build a relationship when I'm sitting face to face with them than just interrogating with questions.
Yeah. And
But that's just
yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, the whole point of, a lead exists to set the appointment. And I know other agents have different philosophies, but I look at this of, look, maybe they want to put things on hold for 2 years or 3 years. I still want the damn appointment. Because if I get the appointment, build the connection with them, and if I don't get that that listing in 2 or 3 years, that's me dropping the ball. Yeah, right. Like I met with them. Now I have 2 to 3 years to stay in touch with them, deepen that relationship. So when they're ready. So I agree, man.
Well, that's the importance of like getting them into your world and having your sphere of influence world really built out, right? Because if they're going to be 2 years down the road, I have a conversation with them. I don't want them to slip through the cracks. So I want a decent follow-up system. I put all those people like they're my VIP clients, right? They're all getting my monthly mailers for free coupons at dinners. Have you ever heard of Boomerang?
I don't think so.
Boomerang's awesome, man. So instead of me sending them like a recipe every month, right? They actually send out a coupon for like a buy one, get one meal free at a restaurant in the local area, right? So it's something of value that they could actually use besides just like some sort of recipe that they're never going to use whatsoever, right? And then I also put them in my Chris Stange VIP group as well. Even though they're not really my VIP clients, I still put them in there because I want to see them on my posts. I still put them on a direct search alert for any houses popping up in their neighborhood because I know if they look at their neighbor's house that popped in the neighborhood, it gives me a reason to call them and do a CMA for them, right? So it's a very important if it's going to be down the road, get them into your world, invite them to your client events, like really, really do the lead follow up and act like they're your A clients, dude.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, if you're willing to share it, what is your kind of opener that you use when you're calling expireds? I know the
Bro,
script changes based on.
not really. Like, it's so simple. Like, if you look at his, and I have a whole training on this in this program, on this course that I built, but his is super open-ended, right? He says, look, I don't want to take too much of your time. So he does ask, like, how your day is. And I'm that guy too. Like, you have a lot of coaches, like, don't ask how their day is. Don't ask how their day is. It's just, they're going to hang up on you. Yeah, it happens, but I could gauge their attitude if I ask that question. Plus, I have a great icebreaker for it, right? And I use the same damn joke every time, but it works every time. And basically, I'm just like, hey, I see that your house was listed on the market just today, or like it came off the market today. Well, I was just curious, whatever happened with that? Bro, that's all it is. And so they will tell me their side. And then I'm like, well, what was the feedback you were getting every week from your agent? Every week they were updating you on the listing. Well, if they weren't really communicating, it kind of fell off. Well, how much time do you think you might take before you might actually decide to interview agents again for the job of getting it sold? My shit is direct. And so that's why I like Carolyn's probate script is because it's so direct. It's none of this fluff and guff. Hey, do you plan on selling the house and the estate or not? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No? All right, I'm going on to the next one. And I think that's where realtors get really caught up, man, is because they think they have to get a listing every single lead, every single expired, every single FISBO. If they're not getting it, they feel like they're a failure. But here's the deal. I don't care. Like, there's going to be another one tomorrow. There's going to be two more the next day. There's going to be more and more coming. I just need to find the ones that are willing to talk with me. That's it.
Yeah. And at least what I found, I don't know if you track this heavily, but like I found anybody that's good. And if we look at like, okay, FISBOs, expireds, probates, divorces, 30-day lates, absentee owners, like they roughly have about the same conversion rate, but it's, usually in that 6% conversation to listing taken rate. Like, but that means that 94% of the people you're having conversations with aren't listing with you. But if you're at a 6% conversation listing taken rate, dude, like you're fucking killing
Bro, I'm used to rejection. Dude, I got rejected in high school. No girl ever asked me to Sadie's dance. Like, I'm fine, dude. I could take rejection like it's nobody's business. But I know the more I get rejected, I'm going to find someone that wants to work with me. Here's the deal, man. I have called so many for sale owners expireds that I would go to the listing appointment. They're like, you know what? We don't even know why we're meeting with you. There was just something about you over the phone. Like we got bombarded with calls, but we're meeting with you. So to me, what that tells me is God, universe, whatever, whoever that energy is putting that person in front of me to work with, I just got to go find them, right? It's not up to that person to find me. It's for me to find them. And you'll be surprised on how many people are like, I don't even know why I'm talking to you. I've told so many realtors no, but here we are, right?
Yeah.
So I don't care who's calling what. I don't care if there's a billion professionals and whatever. Like if this is what we're doing, people are going to be aligned with my goals, and I'm going to help them out. Like it's just how it is. You have to have that intention. You have to have that belief.
Yeah, and look, like I'm a big fan of, inbound style doing business, like YouTube or where people are coming to me. But I recommend that every single realtor master 1 to 2 elements of prospecting. Because it's like, dude, no matter what, then like your business is always going to be fine. Like if you learn that skill set
Yeah.
and the discipline to do it, like, I mean, because your fate's in your own hands. Like, dude, I guarantee, like, if I was like, okay, Chris, it's by the time we're recording this, it's Thursday afternoon. If I'm like, dude, I want you to have a listing before Monday, you can go pound the phones and get a listing before Monday.
Yeah, you definitely can. And depending on the source, right? Definitely fit those expires. You know, it's funny, man. I watched your program. Like I've been through your program a few times, and you always said something to me. I forget. I think it's module 3, your offline lead sources. But anyways, you say something that cracks me up. You're like, I'd rather piss glass than pick up the phone. But, but I don't know if you remember saying that in your modules or if you even looked at. I laugh my ass off every time I hear about it. But the fact of the matter is, too, you took the time to learn the skill when you were first into the business, too, right? I mean, you were on the phones just like us all. And I still do it, but I don't have to do it as much as I had to do in my first, 5 years in the business.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
it,
Cause I,
dude. I actually really enjoy it.
yeah, and look, everybody's personality is different. I hate the phones. Doesn't mean they're not effective. Doesn't mean I didn't have to learn to get good at them. Cause like, dude, when I got in the game as '05, there was no social media. There was no our smartphones. There was not like, dude, you had like open houses, cold calling, door knocking, networking. Like there's, maybe direct mail, so we had to get damn good at these. But for my personality, I don't enjoy them, but it doesn't mean they, didn't, hold a certain role. But I guess where I was going to like, I'd rather piss glass than doing it is my whole methodology is I'm going to get so damn good at this where I can build up such a big pipeline of past client repeat referral business that then translates into inbound business where then I don't have to ever do them again. But yeah, years of setting that foundation where then just like the point that you're at right now, I mean, you still do it, but you got so many repeat referral business, past clients coming in, they don't have to do it near as much.
No, I don't. And I like to do it with the probate thing. Actually, the probate thing really excites me, right?
Yeah.
Like expireds, whatever. The reason why I do a million and above is because that excites me too. But actually calling for sub owners doesn't excite me anymore, like because I've done it for so many years. And the stats are crazy. Everybody I think a lot of agents also think that these people are getting a lot of calls, and I don't care what source it is. But interesting enough, this was like 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. I was in this conference, right? It was a social media conference for realtors. There was probably 300 agents in this place. The coach or the presenter or whoever was like, okay, how many people actually cold call? Okay, out of 300 agents, my hand went up and one other. That's it. So I don't think there's as many people calling these people as some realtors actually think they are. Because if it expires on first up, an owner says, hey, you're the 40th one that called me today, I'm probably the fourth.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's had any call reluctancy, just eat shit till you can't taste it, dude.
Yeah, I love that, dude. All right, so switching gears a little bit, because I do want to talk about your residual agent and the different kind of ways that you have. Because like every smart operator, every business is always, how do I maximize, you know, um, my cost per customer? Yeah, right. Like if you look at movie theaters, right? They're not just collecting the movie theater ticket. Now they're upselling you soda, popcorn. And we know this in the brokerage world, right? Like, yeah, you got company dollar, agent splits, but then you got, partnerships or JVs with mortgage, title, insurance, but you've also cracked this
Killing
code
off
on it.
E&O insurance, bro. I made a lot of money off E&O insurance. No, no
Yeah.
lie there, right? But agents don't know that, right? But yeah, there's other avenues of income that come in through the brokerage. Not to mention, I think we get a little bit better tax benefits too. But um, yeah, there's just a completely different thing. So it's about leveraging what you're working with now, and that's all this program is about.
Yeah. So real quick though, before we jump into that, if you don't mind me asking, because man, again, you've been doing this a long time, super success as an individual agent, but then you built a brokerage, had a very successful brokerage. I think you were what, 40, 58. I don't know the exact count,
Like
but
49 agents when I decided to say peace. Yeah.
yeah, and it's something like 90% of brokerages never get beyond 10 agents, right? So, let's just say a brokerage in the top, 5%, 10%, 5% agent count, but then you recently decided to make the move and switch, to partnering with EXP and building a brokerage inside of a brokerage, leveraging their platform. What led you to making that decision? And I'd love to hear, kind of the pain points, maybe your experiences of brokerage that you're not experiencing here. But like first, like what led you to making that move?
Well, when I opened up the brokerage, it was kind of exciting, right? It was something new, something I felt like I wanted to do. My overall goal was to open up one here, and then branch out some different marketplaces, man. I love Vegas. I was thinking about doing one in Vegas, Long Beach, and really kind of look at that way. And so I had a long game in mind. But after I built this one out here locally and really started growing it, I think we grew pretty fast. I think we ended up being 49 agents within the first like 2.5 years, right? 2.5 years, something like that. Well, as it grew, you have overhead, right? I mean, I have a brick and mortar. We have agent events. I mean, we have a lot of overhead too. So I was looking at the numbers and I was like, okay, is this headache of being a broker? And what I mean by headache is, dude, you're wearing all the hats. You said something earlier in this podcast about wearing all the hats. Well, I was wearing all the broker hats, right? Because I'm a one man guy. I don't have a partner, so I'm doing all the marketing out there on the social medias. I'm looking at all the contract compliancy. I'm doing all the commission payouts. Like I'm doing everything. I'm doing my own personal production. I'm running a flipping insurance company. Like it was just starting to be where I was just getting stressed. Like I told you this before we went on air, man. I couldn't even go to the movies for a 2.5 hour movie to sit down with my wife to enjoy our time together without getting 10 calls throughout the movie, right? So it really was taking away my freedom. What I thought would give me freedom took away my freedom. And so when I came to a point where I was like, kind of being a little bit snappy, not really myself, and really kind of just being a stress ball, I said, okay, something's got to give here, right? And then that's when the EXP opportunity came. And, obviously I talked with you guys and what EXP could offer and what they could take off my plate. And I'm like, dude, this sounds like it sounds like it's the best of both worlds. And since I made the change, I don't know, man. When did I join your organization? Like a month ago?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
recent.
No, I haven't been happier, man. I have not been happier. I'm back to myself. My production went, like, my personal production went higher, like, immediately for some reason. I didn't really do anything different. It just felt like my production already increased as soon as I shut it down. And I actually really enjoy working with sellers and buyers as opposed to really, dude, I love my agents, I do, but it's just like, it's a different game.
Yeah, and I think that what a lot of people don't realize about EXP now, what I love about EXP is, yeah, it's a brokerage, but at a very high level, it's a platform that allows us to build any type of a business, size of business that we want. And look, if somebody wants to come here and just produce, like EXP does the best job on the planet. I mean, if you look at number of units sold, top producers, like, dude, EXP just dominates. So if you want to be surrounded by the top and go to the top, yeah, right. Like from a production standpoint, EXP's got you covered. But then from there, if like guys like you and I that are here to leverage just to build a brokerage instead of a brokerage, I'm like, dude, I get to pay $85 a month, leverage their 2,500 full-time support staff, have
It's
no exposure, no risk, none of those headaches. Get to do what I love, which is just agent attraction and coaching and training my agents. It's 100% profitability because now I have no expenses, at least for me, how I'm running mine. And again, dude, it's, like we mentioned the stress. It's like every time I added another agent, I felt like I was adding another bar to the jail cell.
I got to it. I was like, I don't even want to even recruit anymore. I don't want to look at another Indeed ad. I don't want my vendor to send me another agent. I'm like, please, no. But, and once you get to that point, it's over, man. Like, once you're losing the love for it, it's just time to give it up and just do something else. And so EXP has allowed me to do that. And the cool thing about EXP is they allow you to work your business how you want to work it, right? It's not so regimented. Like I've been with Coldwell Banker and them, they're like, okay, this is pretty much a structure for you. Well, it was at the time when I was there, like 6 years ago. But anyways, they allow me to work my business how I want to work it, dude. And it's been great.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
broker support's great. Dude, you go on to the world or the support, they're instantaneous, dude. They're like boom, boom, boom. So I have not had any complaints whatsoever making the switch.
Yeah, it's funny. Because EXP is obviously, well, I shouldn't say this because people watching and listening may not know this, but it's a virtual cloud-based brokerage, meaning that, they're all the corporate side of it doesn't have office space. Everyone works virtually. We work out of the cloud. Um, but I was talking with a number one individual agent in the world for EXP. So he did $101 million in gross volume sales just himself last year.
That's insane, dude.
Right? But he told me, I'm like, what do you love most about EXP? And he said, man, the human connection. He goes, it's like the masterminding, the support, the camaraderie. And I told him, I said, I couldn't agree more, dude. Like, but it blows my, like, you'd almost think it'd be the opposite. Kept going from a local bricks and mortar because I was with local bricks and mortar for my first 20 years, right? And then you go to cloud based, you think the human connection and that culture piece would be lost, but it's the opposite, dude. It's like, the masterminding, the camaraderie, the support that you get from everybody else, just the human connection element. I don't know how they pull it off, but it's just so much more vast, even though we're a cloud-based brokerage.
Well, Josh, and also, dude, a lot of the brokerages that I go to, including mine, there's not many agents in the office anyways,
Yeah.
for the most part, right? If the agent's in the office, they better be on the phones because what else are you doing in my office? Like unless you need some help and training. But like there's not many people that come into the office anyways. Like when I was interviewing other brokerages to see what I really want to do because I was going to be a free agent, I would go there and there'd be like nobody in their offices either. So I don't think an office or brick and mortar is super important. Plus, with EXP, I believe we get like Regency where we could utilize
Yeah.
their
We
offices
just,
nationwide. So to me, the overhead and just saving the money off the overhead, I mean, it's going to save me like 3 grand come March when I could get out of this brick and mortar.
yep. Yep. 100%, dude. And so I want to jump into residual agent and kind of unpack that but before I do so, just for anybody that's watching and listening, if you are interested in learning more about partnering with Chris and I and all of us at EXP, because here's the brilliant thing of EXP and how the organization is structured with RevShare, is if you decide to partner with us, you get full access to Chris and all of Chris's coaching. You get full access to Carolyn's program. Carolyn Castillo is the best that I've ever found at probate coaching. Get full access to me, all my coaching. Mike Sherrard is the best in the world at social media AI. So we package this strategically. Like our mission is to make sure that none of our agents that we partner with ever need to hire a coach. Like we got your back. We make sure that you know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, have all the resources, tools, support to accomplish your goals. So I'm gonna have a link below if you want to book a call with Chris to learn more about this opportunity. There's going to be a link below to do that. All right,
But the
so
cool
let's.
thing about that too, man, is we all have our own little thing that we teach too, right?
Yep.
So no matter what you're trying to do in your career, there's somebody there to help guide you. It's like having the Avengers on your team.
Yeah, because if you look at this, like I looked at like okay, when I picked my sponsor, I was like, okay, like what am I really good at, but what's my biggest weakness? At the time, dude, it was like I just didn't, know AI at the highest level. Somebody came to me and said, hey, I want to build $1 million a year business through TikTok. I didn't know what to tell them to do. So let me go partner with the best person in the world at social media, YouTube AI. Yeah, right. Because I got systems processes. I know how to scale traditional style business. But then you've got your like you mentioned your own leg. Carolyn, like I have a little bit of experience in probates, but not Carolyn's. I mean, that's all her focus has been, for years. That's her only niche, and she's the best I've ever found at that. So,
So
yeah, to your point is, we've been very strategic with this, where then anybody that joins with us is able to get, we just want to eliminate any holes as to, why you wouldn't be able to crush it with succeeding in your real estate business. So, I do like talk about residual agent, because I mean, I know what you've been building. I mean, we talked about it, but I haven't seen the full thing yet. It's like, what is residual agent and kind of what's the overall? Maybe let's start with the concept.
yeah, well, the concept is pretty simple. It's like, okay, if I'm doing a real estate transaction, usually it's one and done, right? Okay, I'm gonna get my nice little commission check from the transaction, and that's it. Now, from that, I'm going to hope on repeat and referral business. Now, one thing with me though is I love repeat and referral. We all do. It's like the easiest business, right? But I don't want my business to be vulnerable to me relying on other people to get me more business. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, why not get paid multiple times of the same person over and over and over again? Now, how do we do that, right? How do we do it without rev share? How do we do it without investment properties? How do we do it? Well, you mentioned before that I come from an insurance background. So what I did is I just kind of married the two together because they really do go hand in hand. It's not much extra work whatsoever. So basically, if I'm going to sell a property to a buyer, I am an independent insurance broker, so I can shop around the best rates. This literally takes me 15 minutes to do, by the way. We have a software that quotes out all of our companies at once. I plug in the information once, bada boom, bada bam, give me the top two. I'm in there, boom, I'm already done within 15 minutes. So now I'm going to back that home by insurance policy, homeowners insurance, because how many people need homeowners insurance?
Everybody.
Everybody, right? All right, cool. So now I'm getting my commission check off my real estate transaction. Now I'm getting a commission check off the insurance. But the cool thing with insurance, and you have insurance, buddy, so I think you know how this works. Well, every time that policy renews, every year, and it's through escrow anyways, right? So the escrow automatically pays it every year. They pay the taxes and insurance for your property. Well, every year they send out a check, we're getting paid that same amount again, right? And depending on the company, it could be between 10 and 18%. It just varies on what company you're putting them with, who has the best rate and best coverages. But even if we were to break it down in the really simple terms, let's just say I have a $1,500 home policy. I sell it on the very, very low end. I'll get 150 bucks, 10%, right? Depending on the company I put with it. Yeah, it doesn't sound sexy, but I'm going to get paid on that over and over again. And now we got to think about the compounding of it by adding more clients and what this is going to look like in 2 years. But on top of that, so that's two transactions, right? That's two commission checks. What do people want to do with their insurance? They want to bundle it, right? They want to
Yeah.
like
So
add the goddamn auto insurance with it too. So it's the easiest sell in the world. So now with auto policies, most of them renew every 6 months, right? We do have policies that might renew every year, but let's just say it renews every 6 months. It's another $1,000 for the 6 month premium. Let's just use the low end again. We use everything conservative. Let's just say I make another $100 every 6 months there. Well, then they renew again in 6 months. So that's $200 a year off the auto. That's 150 off the home. So what is that? 350 for the year that I'm just continually getting paid on that. As long as they pay their bills, bro, I'm getting paid every time they renew. And I'm not doing all the upfront work is already done. It's already done, right? So I don't really have to do much more to those policies because it's already ever flowing. As long as I have them auto pay, I know I'm going to have an auto renewal. And so now we're just getting paid over and over. So let's look at, okay, what is this going to look like 2 years down the road when we've actually built up a book of business and now residually we're getting, 5 grand, 10 grand a month just coming in. So it is
yeah.
a little bit of a longer play because we have to compound it. But the cool thing about that also is repeat and referral business. Let's go back to that. If I'm saving you money on your auto and home insurance, you're like, holy shit, you saved me like $200 a month. You don't think you're going to tell your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle to come talk to me? Well, the referrals come in a lot faster pace than they do with a real estate transaction. Josh, what's the percentage of the population? How many of them are doing a real estate transaction at any given moment? Isn't it like 1%? Like 1%?
Yeah, it's like on an annual basis, it's like 3% of, the adult population that, could part. I mean, that's what it usually shakes down to.
1%, bro, they ain't nothing. But how many people want to just, save a little bit of money on their insurance and legally have to have it?
Yeah, everybody.
100%. So now what we do is we're getting policies in place, referrals. Now I have in my program or whatever you want to call it, I show you how to cross sell your real estate services effectively to the insurance policies that you may have sold. To me, it's more of a hedge too. Let's just say you're playing yo-yo real estate, right? Let's just say you don't do a deal in November, you have two in December, you don't do another deal till February. Well, we have 2 months in that 4 month span, you're not getting a paycheck. Well, if you have these policies in place, you're getting paid on those months you haven't had a real estate transaction. And again, it's not much more work. All the upfront stuff is done within like 30 minutes, dude.
Yeah, and I think it's important, dude, because it's like and I didn't think about this early enough on like, if I could go back and to give myself one piece of advice when I started this career is like, dude, do whatever you got to do to build up residual income. Because like when it's exciting, you love selling, you're making big commission months, and you think, oh, this is never going to stop. Well, then you get to a point in time where you're like, man, like, just think like what the off ramp is. Because at some point in time, you might not want to grind 60, 70, 80 hours a week in your real
Yeah.
estate business, and dude, like I have many friends, and these are more like team leaders, broker owners that maybe doing bigger volume, but after, several years, dude, now they're making 300, 400 grand a month in just premium renewals, but that's just mailbox money. And it's like the more their real estate business grows, it feeds this other vehicle. So they're not having to prospect for that vehicle. This primary, like the main thing's the main thing that just feeds this thing. But then that over time gives us the off ramp. So we're not having to just pound the pavement every day until we're freaking 75.
Yeah, and what I think a lot of people don't also realize is you own your book of business, right? So your insurance policies, you own that as a book of business. It's a sellable asset. So let's just say 10 years down the road, you want out of everything, right? Well, your real estate transactions are gone. You're not getting any money from that. But you could sell your book of business to either the agency you're with currently, or you can even branch that out to see if you can find a better deal through another agency where they will pay you out on a month by month basis on agreed value, right? So depending on the size of your book. Like right now, if I were to sell my book right now, I'd probably get a check for about 40, 50 grand a month for the next 3 years. But you don't think that will set me up to go to do something else, right? So it's a sellable asset. Like, so it's something that you own as well. And I think another huge benefit is let's talk about lenders and title company and your vendors that you're dealing with. Like, what value do they actually give you besides actually doing a good job, which is that should be the bare minimum anyways, right? So, what can they provide you? Like, I think in my 14 years, I've gotten one transaction from a lender. That's it, dude. One transaction. And it ended up being a pain in the ass, sell. So they always come to me, it's like, how do I bring you value? How do I bring you value? Well, dude, bring me some insurance quotes. Go to your lender, your preferred lender. They're obviously working with other real estate agents and getting deals, but those real estate agents aren't insurance agents. So send your flipping clients that are closing to me. Send me over the request of evidence, and that's how you're going to bring me value. If they're not willing to do that, I'd go find another lender because you'll easily find another lender that will start serving you insurance policies as long as you use them for the lending side, or at least refer them as one of their go-tos. You know what I'm saying? So not only are you getting a benefit from your sphere of influence, oh dude, let's not even talk about sphere of influence. That's the easiest sell in the world. But now you're getting your vendors to give you some value other than like, hey, you want to go get some sushi on, Tuesday at 12. I'm like, no, I don't. Just send me some insurance quotes, dude, or send me an agent that is looking to look at what we're doing with our organization. That's how you're gonna bring me value. I don't need
Now,
I don't need all the other crap that they don't offer that much, to be honest with you. And we
yeah.
don't have like a JV or anything with any of the R's. Luckily, my wife's my lender, so at least we have that. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, dude, like I've never expected that from lenders, because it's like their business is you from other agents. So I know, but like to your point, I'm like, hey, dude, but you know a lot of agents. You can introduce me to other agents, or like you said, to insurance possibilities. And so I'm guessing to do this, and maybe it's different state by state. I don't know, but like what are the requirements to get licensed in order to do this?
yeah, so I was talking with Carolyn last week about this, and she was like, I was like, what do you think about this? She's like, well, until you broke it down for me, I was kind of like, do I really want to do all that work? I'm like, well, let's break it down. What is the work? Okay. So it's not like real estate licensing. You know how we have to do 120. I think it's this, I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but I know I had to do 120 hours, couldn't do more than 8 hours a day. I had to take a school exam, pass that before I could take the state exam. It has nothing to do like at all. So what you'll do is you'll go to kaplan.com, kaplan.com. You'll go to your state Pacific. You'll find your PNC, property and casualty insurance. Work on your life later because we could talk about some great annuity products for investors here in a minute. But like go to PNC, property and casualty. I think it's $350 for the study material. If you could pass the real estate exam, you'll pass this with flying colors, dude, and you should be able to do it in a month. There's no hour requirements. You just do your study material, you take the test when you think you're ready. There's no school test that you have to pass before you take the actual exam. So it's super, super easy to get this. And that's coming into the end of Q4, right? I think we're gonna slow down come like December-ish. I mean, people should be really hounding on their real estate business for Q1, but let's be real, a lot of agents don't. Why not take that month to go get your license for PNC, and then starting Q1, you can start utilizing this and start building residual income, right? You're gonna start seeing by 2027, dude, you're just gonna start getting income without really doing much at all.
Yep. Yep, love it, dude. So then, okay, you said, talked about, life insurance and other, vehicles there. What does that look like?
Okay, so a big one, right? So this came up to my attention about 7 months ago. So there's a product called the 453 DST, Deferred Savings Trust, right? So let's just say you are huge in absentee owners in this market, right? So
Yep.
let's just say we have like a mom and pop investor. They have two or three investment properties. They want to cash out, but they don't want to pay the capital gains and they don't want to do 1031, kind of put them in the same situation they're already in. Well, what we could do is we could put the property into this 453 DST, like we put it into this trust, we sell it out of the trust, proceeds go into the trust, which then goes into an annuity product. This annuity product will defer all their capital gains tax. Talk to your accountant, you guys, talk to your accountant, right? But this will defer all their capital gains tax. And then historically, with this product, there's no downside. There's zero downside. But historically, it's growing 9 to 22% year over year. Now, what cap rate are you going to find right now in this market that's even matching 9 to 22%? I know in my
Mhm.
market, none. So now they're getting a better cap, like if you want to think of it like that, but now they're getting better interest rate on their capital gains. Now, if they do a draw, right? If they take out 20 grand to go buy a car or whatever, or go on vacation, they will pay capital gains on the smaller portion. But if the interest rate is still building up at a decent rate, it's kind of offsets some of that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, dude. Yeah, because now they can just take the full amount of that money tax free and then let that build in this other vehicle and keep compounding until they absolutely need to cash out for, whatever. You
Yeah,
know,
man. Why not take some of that, take a draw, put it in a whole index life, and now we have two downside products. Now we have a retirement vehicle over here that you could actually borrow against if you want to go purchase another property in 10 years, right? Whatever, maybe for a grandkid or whatever. Now you could actually borrow from your own self. You're your own bank at that point if you structure it properly. But let's just say forget the whole index life thing. Even if you just stick with the annuity product, man, that's a game changer. And now let's not talk about like we're talking about small commissions on auto and home and how it compounds. But dude, if you are to sell like an annuity product like that through the 453, we're talking 20, 30 grand commissions up front. So those could actually pay out better than your real estate transaction.
yeah. And what I love about this, dude, is you're still able to focus on making the main thing the main thing. These are just
Amazing.
vehicles that you're able to help your real estate clients with. I mean, if they choose to, but you can educate on them and help them leverage it, and then you're getting paid multiple times, but also supporting them because there are things that they, need as well.
So what my program does, okay, we don't really need to cross sell our real estate clients for insurance, right? That's easy. We're already with them, we're seeing them, we're showing them homes. That's super simple. You should be able to get that without a problem. What I also teach is how you getting referrals for your insurance. Well, how are we cross selling our real estate services to them and not only being looked at as an insurance agent? That was the biggest hiccup I had for the first 3 years working my SOI and my insurance clientele is like they always thought of me as the insurance agent, the insurance agent, the insurance agent, even though I was marketing my real estate stuff to them. So it took a while to do that. I think I perfected it exactly how I like to do it now. And that's what the program shows everybody. How do we effectively cross sell this? Right? My program also takes you step by step on what is insurance in layman's terms. Like literally, each one of my videos is pretty. They're not that long, bro. What I did with my course, I took out all the fluff and guff. I took everything out. What my course really teaches is lead generation, and there's about 16 pillars of everything that I've done, and it's all my strategies. I break it down. Okay, how do we go get the clients, right? And then how do we cross sell them the insurance product? And then once we have that done, you're getting insurance policies, but not the real estate. How do we cross sell the real estate into the insurance? So now we're just building. To me, it's a game changer. But I think what I need to do is like I think my biggest hurdle with this is get real estate agents to know it's not that difficult to do. You're not adding that much work to your plate by doing this.
Well, and dude, I mean, right now, I mean, having additional revenue centers right now is extremely important just because the reality is you got about half the people that are able to buy and sell that used to historically be able to buy and sell. And we're probably going to be in this low transaction volume climate for a long time. But then if we're reading the writing on the wall with all the technology, all the AI, like, okay, can be pretty confident that commission compressions are going to be coming at some point in the future. Right? Meaning that, it kind of commonplace for us to get paid less and less per transaction. Now, if we're leveraging AI and tech in the right way, we'll hope we can make up that volume. But then it becomes that much more important, in my opinion, to add on these other, ancillary incomes. And
100%.
again, it just goes to the movie theater concept. And this is what, for anybody watching and listening, dude, this is what top teams and top brokers do, right? So when I was selling brokerages, it was like get them to launch, get them to be successful with the brokerage, right? But that was company dollar. But then we get them to 5 revenue centers as soon as possible. Again, title, mortgage, insurance, maybe they're in property management. There's a shit ton of different ancillaries, but I think any of us would probably like to get to the point where we got an extra 10, 20 grand coming in a month.
Month, bro. A month. I don't have to do
Yep.
anything. I don't care if I don't sell a house this month or an insurance policy this month. I don't care. I'm going to be fine going forward. And it took a while to get to that point, but once you're at that point, there's a huge sense of freedom. And I could work my insurance book anywhere in the world. I literally have not had an insurance client come into my office since COVID, literally since COVID. The only time I ever see those clients is when I'm doing a client event. So I could take my work and go anywhere I want to work. Now, with your real estate, that's going to be up to you on how you want to work that. I do know people that do work remote real estate. In fact, when you come to our organization, you get access to Nalika and Armando, who teach you how to run a buyer business, being traveling, 360 days a year.
Yep.
They're everywhere all the time, man. But it's just like, dude, it's a no-brainer. If people would just grasp the concept and just know it's not much work, it goes hand in hand. And what they say, all the millionaires say, you need multiple streams of income. This is just another one to build a residual. And then if you do join EXP, yeah, we have rev share, right, which is another source of residual income, obviously stocks and all that. So we could talk about numerous streams of income from just joining this organization and doing what we teach.
Yep. Yep. Building that stock, getting rev share if they want to focus on that. But this is something because, let's just face the fact, dude, 88% of the agents at EXP are just here to be top producers. They don't really care about rev share. Not saying that they don't accidentally get it because you might have a friend that joins even without you being intentional, but this is, something that everybody can do, even if they don't want to participate in rev share. But to me, it makes the most sense. Like get paid is like, again, increasing the dollar item per customer, right? Like when you go to like when you go to the grocery store, what do? You get all your items, you're getting ready to check out. And then now they got all these shit, all these
Yeah,
products
yeah,
at the
it's all right
checkout lane that
there.
they're enticing with, like to try to get you for a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, right? So you
Let's
do, I
not
love it.
lie here, Josh. We're getting older, bro. I'm 41. You think I want to go out there and show 40 houses a day? Like, no, like I don't want to do all that. So how can I build myself up for the next 10 years where when I'm 50, I don't have to worry about any of this crap anymore? If I wanted to go to the beach and drink Mai Tais all day, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? Now I won't because that gets old. Everything gets old, bro. Everybody talks about retirement life, and then I'm like, dude, I go crazy if I'm at the same spot for 3 days. Like just
Yeah.
get my ass back home, let me get back to work. But I am getting older, and I know I'm going to end up slowing down sooner or later. So why not have something in place where I don't have to worry about money when I get to that point?
So anybody that's watching or listening, if, they want to learn about getting access to residual agent, like where is it just the same link to book a link with a call with you?
Yeah, so I'll give you my link. You can put that in wherever you want. They can hit me up on Facebook, DM me on Facebook, just Chris Stange, right? Like Chris Stange, not strange, not strange. Everybody put strange, bro. Stange, no R. Or Instagram, Chris_Stang23, right? So they could DM me on those social platforms. I'll send you out my calendar link if someone wants to just learn more. Discovery call, dude. No hassle, no obligation, no pressure whatsoever. I will just show you exactly how it looks, and if it's something you want to pursue, great, good on you. Like, you're doing yourself a favor. So,
Yeah. And I know I'm kind of beating this to death maybe here, but just a reminder, for everyone that's watching, listening, not only do you get residual agent and full access and support from Chris himself to help support you with this, but you get, the best probate coaching on the planet with Carolyn. You get all of my coaching, systems, how to scale teams, processes. You get Mike Schroard's AI coaching. We have 6 weekly live Zoom calls every single week. Our community group where we're always just masterminding and supporting each other with referrals. And then on top of that, EXP's got 70 hours of new live training every single week. Provides you all the tools and systems that you need to grow your business. 2,500 full-time support staff, so world-class support. So all of this combined to really set you up to position yourself to ensure that you're dominating your real estate goals. So again, if it's something that you're interested in, I'm going to have Chris's link below in the description of the show notes. So you can book a conversation with him, see if you think it's a fit for you.
Yeah, bro. If you can't succeed with this team, I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on for the second time. It's always good to jam with you. I will see you at EXPCon next year in Salt Lake City.
Possibly.
Bro, get your ass out here and let's go skiing, bro.
Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah. Snow
Yeah.
Basin, my favorite mountain on the planet.
Yeah.
No,
All right,
well,
man.
I'll talk to you offline
All right.
about that. But yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to be there. I'll put it that way.
All right, cool, man. You have a beautiful day. Thanks for doing this.
All right. And you guys watch and listen. We'll see you next time. Peace.
All right, thanks, Josh.